Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag here on AMC Movie News, the all mailbag show, where all we do is take your mailbag questions, and you can email us your questions anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every day on AMC Movie Talk, we take a couple of your questions Monday through Friday, but on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, we do nothing but take mailbag questions. My name is John Campea. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, and I am so glad you decided to join me today on this Sunday. World Cup final is going on today. I'm going to try to catch a little bit of Germany and Argentina a little bit later. I'm picking Germany to win, by the way. I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining game. So, hey, listen, before we get into the mailbag questions, going to remind you one more time that San Diego Comic-Con is coming up. And what we've done is Dennis has put together a Facebook page that lists all of the official activities that we are doing as AMC Movie News. Everything from our panel to the meet and greet to our Thursday autograph signings to our Saturday. Like, it's all going to be there on that Facebook page. And what I'm going to do is, in the description of this video, you will find a link to that Facebook page. You can go there, get all the information. You can talk to other people that are going to be going there as well. So you're going to be able to find all the stuff there. Once again, just look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to that Facebook page for all of our official AMC Movie News events. And we hope we get to meet you at Comic-Con. We're looking forward to it. All right, folks. Well, let's get into the mailbag questions today. I got 9 mailbag questions pulled out today. Let's see if we can get through them all. And we're going to start with question number 1. And the first question today comes to us from Andrew Voigt. And Andrew Voigt writes, if Star Wars Episode 7, Avengers 2, and Batman vs. Superman came out on the same day and you could only see one, which one do you see? Thanks, and keep up the great work. Okay, well, thanks for the question, Andrew. I'm going to make an assumption. That I'm going to be able to see all 3 movies, but that on the first day that they all come out on the same day, on that day, I can just pick one and see one on that day. And for me, it's a no-brainer because I am who I am. It's Star Wars Episode 7. Star Wars Episode 7 today, Star Wars Episode 7 tomorrow, Star Wars forever. Because I'm just genetically coded for Star Wars. I mean, I told the story before. My earliest childhood memories, my mom taking me to see the original Star Wars. My first pet was a cat that my parents let me name Luke Skywalker. My visit to Skywalker Ranch was basically my pilgrimage to Mecca. I bleed Star Wars. Everything about my life is Star Wars. It just is. I am the ultimate Star Wars nerd. So for me, it's no question it's going to be Star Wars. Now, a lot of people are going to have different answers, and there's very, very compelling arguments, obviously, for Avengers 2. There are very, very compelling arguments, obviously, for Batman v Superman. I mean, Avengers is proven. Right? We know how good Avengers is. We know how good Joss Whedon does with Avengers films. The last one was just record-breaking, and now the second one's coming out, proven track record. But on the Batman v Superman side, you've got, we've been waiting for this forever. It's not a proven track record, but we have never had a live-action official incarnation of Superman and Batman in the same picture. We've never had it. It's never existed. And now we're getting it. So you've got proven track record versus highly anticipated for generations. Compelling arguments for both, no doubt. But for me, it's obviously going to be Star Wars Episode 7 because that's me. But, you know, I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. What if this is a really good question, actually. It might actually make a good versus topic someday. But if you are faced with the same question, brothers and sisters and the sons of AMC, what do you do? Which one do you go to see and why? I'd be really curious to read your comments on that. So jump into the comments section of this video and leave your answer to this. Star Wars, Avengers 2, Batman vs. Superman, opening same day. You can only see one on that opening day. Which is the one you go to see? So go ahead down, fill that one out, and I'm curious to see what you guys say. All right, folks, let's move on to question number 2. And the second question today comes to us from Shawn Reynolds, who writes, hi. I was wondering, why are just about all animated movies have a clear aim towards children? Animated movies can explore mature themes just like live action. I know some animated movies have subtle themes that the adults will catch and the children won't initially, but I'm referring to a story puts a direct adult emphasis on such themes. Most of them already feel relatively the same, going with a strong emphasis on comedy and sometimes some touching scenes. Are movie studios not putting these out because they feel that their box office, because they feel that their connotation with being for children will guarantee failure at the box office? Well, thanks a lot, Shawn. And if I'm understanding the question right, what Shawn is asking here is, why aren't there adult animated films? Now, it's a tricky question to answer because there's a lot of variables here. Well, what do you mean by adult? Do you mean porn? I'm pretty sure you can find some animated porn, if that's what you're talking about. Not that I would know, but I hear rumors that on the internet you can find such things. So do you mean like just purely dramatic? What do you mean by adult? What is adult compared to children? And I'm going to challenge you on one of the premises of your question. See, I have maintained for a long time that a lot of Toy Story films, or not Toy Story, but Pixar films, that Pixar films, for the most part, are not kids' films. They are kid-friendly. And I believe there's a big difference. There's a big difference between a kid film and a kid-friendly film. Like, let's say Kung Fu Panda, right? I am a big fan of the original Kung Fu Panda, and I like the second one too. But let's just talk about the first one. I really like the first Kung Fu Panda. I really do. I think it's a really good movie. But I also believe it is a kids' film. Certainly that adults can enjoy. I just said I enjoy it. But I do feel like the target for Kung Fu Panda was kids, and it's designed in such a way to do that. And I believe there are a lot of animated movies that do that. But I'm going to press you on the issue of Pixar, because there's a lot of Pixar films that I believe have the very stark difference from being a kid's movie to being a kid-friendly movie. If you look at movies like Up or The Incredibles or Ratatouille or things like that, the themes are very mature adult themes. But they're packaged in such a way that they can be palatable in a very good way. They can be palatable to children at the same time. Let's look at The Incredibles for an example. What is The Incredibles about? Well, it's really about things that no kid would understand. It's about a man now past middle age, missing the days of his youth and the glory of his youth, and thinking about the what ifs and looking at the family problems they have and things like that. It's a movie about a woman who's in a marriage where she understands her husband is feeling kind of dissatisfied with his life, and in that dissatisfaction, he's missing out. She recognizes that he's missing out on important, like just life every day with the family and their children and things like that. And the grasping for the glory days. There's that great scene in The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible is sitting in his study and just like sadly looking around with the sense of nostalgia, but sadness at the same time, looking around at all these old headlines of his. It's very much the 48 or 50-year-old dad who's kind of now sitting back and looking at his old high school football pictures and remembering the glory days and what was. These are themes and issues that children cannot grasp or understand. They just wouldn't get it. The Incredibles to me is a great example of a Pixar film that it really very much is written and put together with adults in mind, but then packaged in such a way that it is very palatable to children at the same time. So I'm going to challenge you on the question. I do believe like The Incredibles is a mature movie, but it is also fun and funny and colorful and things like that. So it is kid friendly, even though it is very much deals with a lot of mature themes. If you look at things like Ratatouille, just the questions of destiny, what can you accomplish in this world? Very complicated relationships between yourself and your father or your parent, and what it means to live up to expectations versus going off on your own and living your own life. These are adult themes. Up, obviously, I don't even need to go into Up about the adult themes there and things that kids just would never grasp, but it's colorful balloons lifting a house, so it's packaged in such a way that kids appreciate it. Now, let's get to what is essentially another part of your question, which is really, well, why not just straight up dramatic? Why not animated films that are not made palatable for kids? Just forget the kids. You make Wolf of Wall Street, obviously adult themes, whatever, but but Scorsese didn't package it in such a way that the kids could also come and enjoy it. So the question you're asking, I'm sure a lot of people have wanted to ask this in the past, is, well, why don't we see more movies like that? And I think you answer your own question in your email. I believe there is a stigma, an inappropriate and wrong stigma, granted, but there is a stigma that the medium of animation is for children. And if you were to make Wolf of Wall Street a live action film or an animated film, it would have drastically less people going to go see it because the kids couldn't go see it because it's Wolf of Wall Street. And then a lot of adults would skip it because they wouldn't take it seriously because of the medium. That is unfortunate, and that is a problem. For whatever reason, Pixar seems to fool everybody and actually make adult-themed movies that are just kid-friendly and make you think it's just a big family film. And it is for the whole family, of course. So I don't know how you crack that code. But then it begs the question. If you're just going to make a Wolf of Wall Street animated film, why not just make it live action? I mean, it kind of begs that question. But anyway, I think you kind of answered your own question. I think there is the connotation, there is the stigma attached to the medium of animation that a lot of people in the general public just feel like that's for kids. So if that movie is coming out and it's animated, it must not be an adult film. And that's probably why they avoid it. So good question. And I hope, and remember, anything I'm saying about this is just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, let's move on to the next question today. And the next question today comes to us from Jonathan Bell. And Jonathan Bell writes, if Lucy, that's the new Scarlett Johansson sci-fi movie coming out with Morgan Freeman in it as well. If Lucy does well at the box office, do you think that increases the chances of getting a Black Widow standalone movie? The answer to that question is absolutely a resounding no. Absolutely not. If Lucy does well at the box office, it's going to be because it's a sci-fi actioner and the trailers look good and all that kind of stuff. But remember, Scarlett Johansson has several movies out that have done nothing at the box office. And just because she has a movie out that does nothing at the box office, that doesn't hurt Black Widow's chances. And if Scarlett Johansson is in a movie that does huge business, if Lucy does huge business at the box office, and it probably won't, even though I'm dying to see it. But even if Lucy does huge business at the box office, I do not believe that increases the chances of Scarlett or Black Widow getting her own standalone movie. I don't think it affects it one way or the other, because what we've already seen is the stars don't bring out the people anymore. And you don't base a movie around an actor. Kevin Feige is planning out his Marvel Cinematic Universe according to what is best for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what makes sense for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He doesn't care if Scarlett Johansson has nobody going to see her movies. He doesn't care if Scarlett Johansson is the #1 box office star in the world. It doesn't matter to Kevin Feige. What matters is, does it make sense for us to have a Black Widow movie here? And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter how big of a star Scarlett Johansson is. She's just the actress. They're not going to make a Black Widow movie. If nobody goes to see her movies, but Kevin Feige thinks it makes sense to make a Black Widow movie, then he's going to make a Black Widow movie. It won't bother him or matter to him that nobody goes to see her other movies. It won't make a difference to him. And nor should it. You know, box office doesn't equal quality. I mean, look at Transformers 4, for heaven's sakes. So box office does not equal quality. And the lack of box office does not mean lack of quality. You know, I talk a lot about box office numbers, and we talk a lot about box office numbers on AMC Movie Talk and on our various AMC shows. But the reason we talk about box office numbers is because not that it is a reflection of the quality of a film, but it's a reflection on what people are looking for. You know, I think box office numbers are incredibly important to talk about because they are great indicators to us about what the general public, the general movie-going audience is interested in, what it's going for. It also the box office numbers tell us a lot about whether a certain marketing campaign did a good job, what works, what doesn't work, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, when we talk about movies, we talk about, you know, whether a movie is good or bad, but that's just one part of the movie discussion. I like talking about the entire movie industry. And you know, what goes into it, what makes it tick. And yes, we will sit there and do AMC spoiler reviews and just talk about the movies, but I'm also fascinated by what appeals to the audience. Because, you know, we were talking about Serenity or Firefly, which we talked about on yesterday's AMC Mailbag show. You know, you're asking, why don't they make another one? The first Serenity was so good. Yes, it was. But you can't stop the discussion there. You have to look at, well, how did it do at the box office? Because that tells you something. And at the box office, it completely flopped. People didn't go to see it. So you can say everybody wants another Serenity, But the numbers prove otherwise. The numbers told us that people weren't interested in going to see it. Even though the movie was amazing and fantastic, and generally speaking, everybody who saw it loved it, it didn't make a difference. People still didn't go out to see it. So there's multiple dimensions. So when you hear us talk about box office, don't ever confuse that with us saying that box office means the movie was good or lack of box office means the movie is bad. That's a separate discussion. What it does kind of tell us a little bit is that, whether it's a topic that the audience was even interested in, whether the studio did a good or bad job with their marketing campaign, how they approached it or how they portrayed it to the general audience, that kind of stuff. So I went off on a little bit of a rabbit trail there, but now bringing that full circle and talking about the box office results of anything that Scarlett Johansson does, it'll have absolutely zero impact. It'll have zero impact on the decisions that Disney and Kevin Feige make on about whether or not they're ever going to do a standalone Black Widow movie. I don't think they will. I don't think they should. That's just my opinion. But if Kevin Feige wants to do it, the fact that nobody sees a lot of Scarlett Johansson movies will not affect his decision at all. If Lucy's a big, massive hit, it won't affect his decision at all. So anyway, my short answer to that question is no. I do not believe that if if Lucy is a big financial hit, that it will increase the chances of a Black Widow movie. I don't think it'll increase them at all. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Brandon Hamid, who writes, "Hey AMC, you guys do the best show on YouTube." Well, thank you very much, Brandon. I've heard details saying that the end of Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, was originally, I think there should have been a comma there. Let me try that again. I've heard details saying that at the end of Days of Future Past, Apocalypse was originally supposed to be introduced by combining with Magneto at the end of the film, possibly creating Onslaught. Now they are saying that this could happen at the end of X-Men Apocalypse. Thus, could this set up a follow-up film, X-Men Onslaught? So my question, is this a good idea? I think it is. And how likely is it this will happen? Thanks, guys. Well, first of all, Brandon, don't believe any of those rumors you heard that, originally the end of X-Men Days of Future Past was going to show Magneto. But don't listen to any of that stuff. That's all made up. It's all rabid speculation, and it's not based on anything. Never listen to that stuff. Also, don't listen to people saying, they could do this at the end of X-Men Apocalypse where he merges and we get Onslaught. I doubt it. I really doubt it. And once again, don't believe anybody who's saying that that's what's going to happen. Obviously, is it within the realm of possibility? Yes, it is absolutely within the realm of possibility. But I don't deal in possibilities. I deal in probabilities. That's a big line I use when I play poker a lot. When I play poker and I make a certain call, people say, how could you call that? I could have had two aces. And I'd say to them, yeah, you could have had two aces. It's possible, but I don't deal in possibilities. I deal in probabilities. Sometimes the probabilities don't work out, and sometimes the possibilities do. And so the possibility exists that, they could be working up to Onslaught, but I don't think they are. Onslaught, in the grand scheme of things, is an obscure little comic device. And I don't see them going that way with the movies myself personally. But once again, take that with a grain of salt that it is totally possible. Look, the X-Men universe is so vast and so rich, and there's just so much to it that there is a lot of things. They could do anything. They could go in any direction they want. I'm just thrilled they're finally going to touch on Apocalypse. I'm just thrilled about that. But now Onslaught. Onslaught, really, at the end of the day, I don't even know that Onslaught was all that cool of a character, to be honest. And now Onslaught, for those of you, probably the vast majority of you who have no idea what we're talking about, sometime after the events of Age of Apocalypse, the X-Men comic book storyline, sometime after that comic book storyline ended, we got introduced to a new ominous, menacing threat called Onslaught, who kind of had the look of Magneto. He kind of looked like the physical size of Apocalypse with the look of Magneto and a lot of powers of Professor Charles Xavier. And if I remember the storyline right, because I probably read it like over 10 years ago. If I remember the storyline right, basically what happened is a part of the psionic essence of Magneto and a part of the psychic essence of Professor Charles Xavier were both torn from them and kind of merged and created this one mega being known as Onslaught. So you had two of arguably the most powerful mutants on the planet having their essences merged to become this one insano character. And while I was kind of interested in reading that comic book series when you didn't know who Onslaught was. Once it got revealed who he actually was and what he was, I kind of lost interest, and I didn't find him to be a very compelling character myself personally. I know a lot of people who are big Onslaught fans, and that's cool. But for a lot of reasons, I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. I think they're going to bring in Apocalypse. I think they're going to use Apocalypse for a couple of movies. I don't think Apocalypse is going to be a one-and-done villain for the X-Men universe. Of course, that all really depends on whether Fox is planning on ending the X-Men universe and rebooting the universe at some point. And if that's the case, then maybe, X-Men Apocalypse is going to be the last X-Men film of this particular reality of X-Men. But my answer is no. First of all, don't believe all that other stuff you read. But the second answer is, while I completely believe it is possible they can go the Onslaught route, it is completely possible. Don't completely discount it. I just don't believe that's what they're going to do or what they're going to have happen. All right, let's move on to the next question today. And the next question today comes to us from Jack Aman, who writes, "Hi, love the show and watch it every day." Well, thank you so much, Jack. I've been really intrigued with Pixar's film The Inside Out since it was announced. The premise sounds amazing, and even John said the 8 minutes he saw at CinemaCon looked great on the show. So do you think, come 2016 Oscar season, that this could finally be the first animation to win Best Picture? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. Well, thanks a lot for the question, Jack. But, I'm going to go back to an answer I gave on AMC Mailbag yesterday. If you remember on yesterday's show, somebody asked, hey, do you think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and X-Men Days of Future Past are going to get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars? And what I said at the time is kind of the same thing I'm going to say now. What I said then was, it's impossible to say because we don't even know what it's competing against yet. Most of the major Oscar contender films purposefully release themselves near the end of the year. So a lot of the films that would have great Oscar contention possibilities haven't even come out yet. We haven't seen them yet. For all we know, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and X-Men Days of Future Past won't even be in the top 15 movies of the year. We simply don't know. So it's kind of pointless to try to speculate. I mean, are they great movies? Yes. If the Oscars were tomorrow, do I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes would get nominated for Best Picture? Yes. Do I think X-Men Days of Future Past would get nominated for Best Picture if the Oscars were tomorrow? Yes. But who cares? The actual Oscar caliber films aren't even going to be coming out for a few more months. So it's kind of pointless to speculate. We don't even know what the playing field is yet. With Inside Out coming out in 2016, and I did see it. And for those of you who don't know, Inside Out is this incredibly creative, amazing looking film. I saw 8 to 10 minutes of it at CinemaCon that they showed us. And basically it's a story of this young girl. I'm guessing she's about 10 or 11 or 12. I'm guessing. I can't remember exactly what her age is. And her family, her parents, just moved to a new city. And I don't think the young girl was very happy about having to leave her friends and her school and move to a new city. But the movie's not actually about her. The movie is about, I believe it's 5. It's these 5 emotions that live in her head. So you have these 5 individual characters that live inside of her head. One, I can't remember. I think one is fear, one is joy, one is apprehension, one is what I can't remember what the 5 were. It might have even been 6, but I think it was 5. And the really movie's about them, and they're inside her head, and they kind of control who she is and what she is and how she responds to things. It's an incredibly creative approach, and I'm telling you, the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon, I was laughing my guts out. Absolutely laughing my guts out. But now you're asking the question, could it actually finally be the first animated film to win Best Picture at the Oscars? It is triply impossible to say. Because while they showed us 8 hilarious minutes, for all we know, Inside Out's going to be garbage. For all we know, Inside Out may be Pixar's next Cars 2 instead of Pixar's next Ratatouille. Now, I will say this. If, and this is a huge if the entire movie of Inside Out is the quality of those 8 minutes we saw, then yeah, it's going to be a damn strong contender because it's going to be remarkable. But then again, who knows? Maybe 7 other movies come out that year that are even better than it. I mean, we have no idea. We haven't seen the other movies coming out in 2016. We haven't even seen Inside Out. So it is absolutely impossible for us to speculate. Can Inside Out win Best Picture at the Oscars? We haven't seen the movie. I don't know. It's possible, I guess. But until we actually see the movie, it's going to be weird to speculate. Possible? Sure. But we just don't know anything yet. We don't even know if the movie's any good. We don't know what caliber of the other films its competition is going to be. So it's kind of difficult to speculate at this point. But keep your eyes open for it. I'm telling you, this is one you should be looking forward to. I'm very curious about this film. I can't wait to see it. And I don't think it's called The Inside Out. I think it's just called Inside Out. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's just called Inside Out. But keep your eyes open for it. It looks like it's going to be Pixar's next great movie. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Hamza Wahid, who writes, "Hi guys, I'm an avid watcher of your show all the way from London, and I appreciate your efforts." Well, thank you so much, Hamaz, to our friends over in London. Anyway, John recently said that Daniel Day-Lewis and Russell Crowe are the two best actors in the business, and I was wondering who your current top 5 actors are. Well, yeah, I mean, for 8 years now, I've been saying Daniel Day-Lewis, Russell Crowe are 1 and 2. Depending on when you ask me. If you ask me today, it's Daniel Day-Lewis and then Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe, anybody, I mean, if you understand acting and you look at the huge range and diversity of Russell Crowe's performances, you can't deny him. You just can't deny him. He is a force of nature as an actor. He can chameleon into anything. Whether, he's this fat, overweight whistleblower in that movie he did with Al Pacino, I think it's called The Informer. I'd have to look that up. I think it was called The Informer, where, look, when you get into a movie with Al Pacino and you completely upstage Al Pacino, there's something pretty damn special of you. He's done great comedy. If you guys haven't seen Mystery Alaska, watch Mystery Alaska. It's a heartwarming, funny, great movie about this tiny little town in Alaska that just loves playing hockey. That's all they do is they love playing hockey, and then they end up getting an exhibition game against the New York Rangers. Crazy movie. I love it. It's amazing. But whether you go for that to, his Academy Award wins, Gladiator, to things like, oh God, his performance in Cinderella Man is unbelievable. I'll put his performance in Cinderella Man as one of the 10 best male performances of the decade. I thought his performance in Cinderella Man was that good. Daniel Day-Lewis, what can you say? What can you say? He is arguably not just the greatest actor working today, he is arguably the greatest actor of all time. I believe, I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please. I believe he's the only actor in history to win 3 Best Actor Oscars in the Best Lead Actor category. I think he's the only one who's done it. He's one of those guys where, how LeBron James just went to Cleveland, and now all of a sudden Cleveland, the Vegas sports bettors are saying Cleveland is now the number one. The sport books are saying Cleveland is now the top choice to win the NBA title next year. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what all the LA, the line setters are saying Cleveland is now the odds-on favorite to win the title. When Daniel Day-Lewis is in a movie that's coming out, you just make the assumption he's the front runner for Best Actor that year. He just is. I mean, he could be in a movie about, his shoe cobbling, because that's what he likes to do. He makes shoes, by the way. He could make a movie called The Shoe Cobbler, and it doesn't matter. He will automatically be the odds-on favorite to win Best Picture to win Best Actor because he's that good. He's Daniel Day-frickin-Lewis. He's incredible. So, and remember, this is all just like films themselves. Actors' performances is a subjective thing. It's up to you. Just because I say that those are the top 2, that doesn't mean they have to be your top 2. But you're asking me. So my top 2 in no particular order, although right now I'll say it's Daniel Day-Lewis, Russell Crowe. For a few years I said Russell Crowe, Daniel Day-Lewis, but now I've got Daniel Day-Lewis at number 1. Also, number 3, right now I would put Leonardo DiCaprio. He's kind of got that Daniel Day-Lewis thing going right now, that as soon as Leonardo DiCaprio's in any movie that year, you just make the very safe assumption he's going to get nominated for Best Actor. He has a consistency about him right now. It's like every time he's in a movie, Best Actor nomination, Best Actor nomination, Best Actor nomination. That's what it feels like. So he's developing that kind of Daniel Day-Lewis consistency, and it's hard to ignore. I mean, when you look at most of his characters, then like Wolf of Wall Street, Django Unchained, just his 2 most recent, I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So Daniel Day-Lewis, Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio. At number 4 right now, I will go with Michael Fassbender. When you look at his films, he hasn't done a lot of big mega films, but when you look at all of his films, I mean, especially if you haven't seen Shame, see it. This guy is a multi-tool, multifaceted actor who can do anything. Anything. I mean, he can take a little movie and just make it shine. Then he can go and play Magneto, for heaven's sakes, and almost make people forget about Ian McKellen. Almost, not quite. But he did so good. I mean, he's just that level of guy. Okay, so we got Daniel Day-Lewis, Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio, Michael Fassbender. Next, I'm going to go with a guy I have been on this guy ever since I saw him in Serenity. I have been, long before, 12 Years a Slave came out, I have been blowing the trumpet from the mountaintop, proclaiming to the world, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I believe, is just flat out one of the best actors in the business today. This dude's incredible. Just world-class, blow your mind, incredible. Trust me, folks, I know a lot of people are starting to jump on the Ejiofor bandwagon since 12 Years a Slave. I've been driving the bandwagon since Serenity, all right? This dude is legit. He's for real, wickedly talented, hasn't had a lot of big films, but I would put him in anything. I would absolutely put him in anything. So that'll be my 5. Daniel Day-Lewis, Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio, Michael Fassbender, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and obviously there's some other great ones. You got to give honorable mentions to Denzel Washington, a guy who just does it decade in and decade out. He's just always top notch. Tom Hardy is a lot like Michael Fassbender in that way, multifaceted, can do just about anything he wants to do. And then I would also give an honorable mention to Joaquin Phoenix. The dude may be crazy as bat crap, but I mean, as soon as he's in a movie and he gets on that screen, he owns the screen. He just owns it. So we're living in a great age of some great actors right now, and that we are very fortunate to get to see do their craft all the time. So those are the ones that I would have on my list. But do me a favor, guys, jump into the comment section. Let me know, who are your 5 top actors right now? Who do I have on my list that you don't think belongs there? Who is missing off my list that you do think belongs there? I'd be interested to see your guys' impressions on that. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Javier Duran, who writes, "Hi, I love the show and Schnepp rocks." Well, yes, Schnepp does rock, as a matter of fact. "Well, I have always been a fan of former WWE wrestler Dave the Animal Bautista. So therefore, I was wondering what you guys think of him as an actor. And will his role as Drax, the Destroyer, in Guardians— by Guardians, he means Guardians of the Galaxy— open the doors for him as an actor?" Well, thanks a lot for the question, Javier. I am also a big Dave the Animal Bautista fan because I grew up watching wrestling and things like that. And he's Filipino. And my wife's family is all Filipino. And so they're big fans of his because of that. But you know what? One of the reasons I really like Bautista so much is because he is so humble and completely understands who he is in this business. The first time I actually got a chance to meet and talk with Dave Bautista was a few years ago for that movie Man with the Iron Fists. Remember that one? The one put up by RZA? So he was in that. Dave Bautista was in that. And I was talking to him and I said, you know, why a movie like this and blah, blah, blah. And seriously, how many actors are you going to hear say this? Bautista basically said, I'm paraphrasing him here, but basically what Bautista was saying to me is like, look, I know what I am. I'm limited when it comes to actors. So these roles like big vampire or big dude with brass skin or whatever, he goes, I'm just really grateful that I get the opportunity to play these roles that can fit within my range. You know, everybody in this business, whether it's music or television or movies, is all about, I believe in myself. I have all the talent in the world. I can do anything. It's really kind of refreshing to sit down with a dude like a Dave Bautista who just gets it. He's like, look, I'm not a great actor. You know it. I know it. But I can do these kinds of roles and come across really good. Like in Man with the Iron Fist, like trust me, like he comes across as Drax the Destroyer in the new Guardians of the Galaxy, that don't require a big amount of range, But because of the physical presence he can bring and the type of charisma he has that he can bring, it fits for those roles. And he just has this humble attitude of gratitude. You know, when I was talking to him about that, he goes, you know, man, I'm just really grateful that I'm blessed enough to get to be a part of these types of movies and fill those types of roles. It's really great. And because he goes, I don't have all the range in the world. So refreshing. I mean, that conversation with Dave Bautista made me an even bigger fan of Dave Bautista. And then, of course, we did our AMC 24-hour marathon for the tragedy in the typhoon in the Philippines. And Dave was nice enough to put together, for those of you who watch it, you know that Dave put together this great video message for us to play on the show. And just a super quality guy. Now, let's get to the core of your question. You're asking, do I think that his role as Drax the Destroyer is going to open up more roles for him? Yes, but I believe they're going to be the same types of roles. And I think that's okay. And I think Dave Bautista is totally cool with that. I don't think you're going to see him leading or starring alongside Colin Farrell or Will Ferrell, I should say, in Will Ferrell's next comedy. I don't think you're going to see him starring alongside of Leonardo DiCaprio as Leonardo DiCaprio's business partner in some new drama Leonardo DiCaprio's going to do. No, probably not. But could you see him now pop up more in some sci-fi actioneer films and some more zombie movies or vampire? Yeah, I think this type of thing, now he's going to be, if Guardians is as big of a hit as we hope it is, Dave Bautista's name becomes a little bit more attractive to put in those types of films, even for those smaller type roles that don't require a lot of range. And so, yes, but let's not make a mistake about it. Dave is not, he's not Leonardo DiCaprio. He's not Daniel Day-Lewis. He's not Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's none of those guys. He's just a big dude with a good heart and a lot of charisma that, when used right, to leverage those good qualities he has in certain roles in these types of movies, he can be very effective. And when you got a guy who is as selfless as he is, recognizes what his limitations are, and thrives and celebrates in the types of roles he gets to do, that's just a guy you can't help but cheer for. So, big career coming for Dave Bautista? Probably not. But can we see him pop up in more films like this? I absolutely think so, depending on how well he does in Guardians of the Galaxy. In 17 minutes I saw him in, he did just great. So there's that. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Tanner Tran, who writes, "Hello, AMC. Big fan of the show. I've been watching your channel ever since you guys got this updated studio." Well, thanks so much, Tanner. My question is about one of my favorite shows and soon-to-be movie, Entourage. One of the big reasons why I liked it so much is that it had business portrayals and gave viewers an inside look on how Hollywood works. My question is, how accurate is the movie industry portrayed in the show? Well, I'm going to tell you, Entourage was on when I first moved to LA. Entourage was already on, and I came to LA. I had already been running the movie blog for many, many years. And I moved to LA to get a taste of what it's actually like here. And oh my goodness. I am not an executive at Paramount. I am not a vice president at Universal Studios. Okay. But I've gotten to interact. Obviously, I get to interact with that world and those circles quite a bit. I'm telling you, Hollywood as portrayed in Entourage, from my perspective, is ridiculously accurate. It is aside from some of the more ridiculous things, but honestly, when I got here and I started moving in the party circle scenes, and I started, being able to be a part of certain things, I started to realize it's like, wow, this Entourage thing is actually not far off. Entourage is a pretty legitimate reflection of what the Hollywood lifestyle is for people who move in these circles. It's a little bit different, and I was really surprised by that. When I got here and I started, moving in those circles a bit, I was really surprised about how, pretty much on target the Entourage movie was. Now, maybe other people will have a different perspective on that. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm just telling you my experience and, what my perception of things has been since I've had a chance to live in LA and in Hollywood. And because honestly, the very first place I lived in, my own place that I got, was this apartment right on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And there's actually one of in the opening scene of Entourage, the opening credits, they're driving by all those Hollywood landmarks. And one of them is this big, flashy, the Seventh Veil strip club. And the Seventh Veil Strip Club, literally, I opened my window and there it is. It was literally across the street from my apartment. And so I always got a kick out of watching the opening of Entourage as they drive right by my apartment. But yeah, honestly, from my perception, and like I said, other people may have different perceptions, but from my perception, Hollywood portrayed in Entourage is actually pretty accurate, but that's just my perception. Somebody else may have a different experience. All right, folks, now we're going to get to our last question of the day. And our final question today, and the most difficult name that I'm going to try to pronounce and probably butcher today, is Dave Shrivastav. Dave Shrivastav writes, I hope I did okay. Hey guys, great show. I always watch / listen to it every day. Well, thanks so much for your support, Dave. We really appreciate it. I won't be able to make it to Comic-Con. Maybe one day. Are you guys going to record your panel and other things you're doing at Comic-Con? I'm so glad you brought this up, Dave, because yes. Now, are we going to live stream the AMC Masters of the Web panel? No, because there's simply not a reliable internet connection in there. We cannot do live streaming. We just can't. But we are going to record it, and we'll put that up online. But also, just because we're all going to be in San Diego that week, there's still going to be AMC Movie Talk. We are taking a full production rig with us. We've got this place that we're setting up a production area in, and we are going to be shooting multiple videos every day. We're going to have an AMC Movie Talk every day. We'll probably have some little individual, blog reports, video blog reports from each of our individual staff members as well. We're going to try to do a lot, but absolutely you will still see AMC Movie Talk. You will still see some video of us doing some of our special activities and special functions that we're doing, and you will absolutely see the AMC Masters of the Web panel. We will have that up online. Now, we might not get Masters of the Web up and online until after we get back from San Diego, but we'll get it up as fast as we can. Maybe we can get it up online while we're still down there. We'll have to wait and see how that all goes. Well, all right, folks, that'll do it for me. I'm all wrapped up now with all the questions that I had picked out today. I want to remind you, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com right now for all your theater, showtime, and your movie ticket information. The best movie-going experience in the world is at AMC Theaters. Once again, I want to remind you, if you didn't get your question asked today, maybe you can get it asked next time. Email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com, and we'll try to get to your question if we can. Remember, we get like thousands of emails every single week. We only have time to get to about 30 or 40 in a given week, so please don't be upset if yours doesn't get picked. We get to as many as we possibly can. And listen, don't forget, subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Become one of our subscribers. And listen, also, don't forget, click the thumbs up button. It's a great way of letting other people and letting us know you like the videos we're doing. And heck, why not? Take this video and share it on your social media channels. Share it to Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Just help get the word out there. Become an AMC Movie News evangelist. Be a part of the Sons of AMC. So that'll do it for me today, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until tomorrow when we're back for AMC Movie Talk, bye-bye.